In the beginning, when the world was not yet clearly formed, there were emotions that existed more intensely than matter. From the most primordial jealousy, an entity was born. It had no form, only a shadow, a malevolent whisper. It called itself Asmodeus the Destroyer. He wandered in the invisible realm, drawn to purity and beauty, not to admire them, but to possess them. People described him as having 3 heads, one of a man, one of a bull, and one of a ram, riding a hellish dragon, breathing out scorching flames. But Asmodeus could also take on a seductive form, lurking in the shadows of desire, making people both fascinated and terrified. His most terrifying power was not muscle or weapons, but the ability to manipulate the heart to turn love into jealousy and desire into a death sentence. And the most horrific proof of this was the tragedy of a woman named Sarah, as Asmodeus, consumed by his infatuation with her, killed her 7 husbands in succession. In the city of Ecbatana, a baby girl named Sarah was born. She grew up beautiful and virtuous, with a heart as kind as the morning sun. Asmodeus saw her from the moment she was an infant, and a possessive obsession took root in his dark nature. He considered himself Sarah's silent protector, a jealous shadow that no one could see. When Sarah came of age, her father, Raguel, promised her in marriage to a good man named Azariah. News of the wedding spread, bringing joy to the family, but it also stirred the wrath of the shadow that was always watching. "She is mine," Asmodeus whispered, and his jealousy began to take form. On the wedding night, as Azariah approached the bridal chamber, a cold presence enveloped him. From the shadows, Asmodeus emerged, no longer an invisible shadow, but a terrifying entity, his eyes burning with hatred. "You will not touch her." His voice echoed not as a sound, but directly in Azariah's mind. Before Azariah could cry out, Asmodeus struck. There was not a single wound on his body, but life was drained from him. Sarah, in her beautiful wedding dress, entered the room to find her husband lying motionless on the floor. Her horrified scream echoed throughout the house. The death was ruled a tragic accident. A year later, another brave man came to ask for Sarah's hand, hoping his love could heal her broken heart. But Asmodeus was waiting. His possessive vow was still there, and his jealousy had not diminished. Tragedy struck again, and the second husband also died on their wedding night. Then the third, the fourth, up to the 7th. Each time, death came mysteriously and cruelly. Rumors began to spread. People said Sarah was cursed, that she consumed her husbands. 7 times a bride, 7 times a widow before dawn. Sarah was completely devastated, isolated by fear and rumors. She felt hopeless. She prayed to God to take her life, to free her from this inexplicable torment. Her father, Raguel, was also consumed by grief. He had to dig 7 graves for his 7 sons-in-law with his own hands. He feared for his daughter's life and soul, unable to understand the source of this terrible curse. But Sarah's prayer, full of pain and righteousness, was not forgotten. In a faraway place, her plea was heard. An answer was being prepared. A traveler's path was set, and a plan was devised to confront the demon of jealousy. The torment would not last forever. Sarah's prayer, heartfelt and desperate, passed through the clouds and reached heaven. The angel Raphael, the healer and messenger of God, was sent down to earth. He carried a mission to free Sarah from her torment and bind Asmodeus. Asmodeus' defeat was not just a simple banishment. It was a bitter humiliation. Bound in the Egyptian desert, he could no longer directly interfere with the human world. But jealousy, his core nature, did not disappear. It only changed form, becoming more subtle and cunning. He could no longer kill with his bare hands, but he could sow the seeds of doubt and discord in their minds. He whispered in the ears of lovers, magnifying small faults, turning misunderstandings into irreconcilable quarrels. He became a master of psychological manipulation, an artist of division. In the centuries that followed, Asmodeus' influence could be felt everywhere. He stood behind wars that broke out from jealousy between kings, families that broke apart from infidelity, friendships that were destroyed by envy. He was no longer a demon of physical destruction, but a demon of soul corrosion. he learned to hide in the mundane desires of humans. He encouraged luxury, carnal passion, and the pursuit of material wealth, knowing that these often lead to jealousy and dissatisfaction. He became the patron of casinos, brothels, and places where people sought immediate gratification only to later sink into emptiness and bitterness. Asmodeus also found a new playground in the world of magic and the occult. He taught dark sorcerers how to summon and control weak spirits, how to create love spells and curses of jealousy. He enjoyed watching people use his power to harm others, only to eventually be destroyed by their own desires. In the Middle Ages, Asmodeus was known by many different names. People called him King of the Nine Hells, Demon of Lust, or Sower of Discord. He was described in grimoires as a creature with 3 heads, one of a man, one of a bull, and one of a ram, riding a dragon and holding a spear. This image symbolized his deceit, ferocity, and stubbornness. Many stories were told about people who tried to summon Asmodeus to gain power or love, but the result was always a tragedy. Asmodeus could grant them what they wanted, but the price was always their soul. He would slowly destroy their lives, turning love into obsession, turning power into paranoia, until nothing was left but despair. One of the most famous stories is about a king named Solomon. It is said that Solomon used a special ring to capture and control Asmodeus, forcing him to help build the Temple of Jerusalem. But even a wise man like Solomon could not control this demon forever. Asmodeus tricked Solomon, stole the ring, and cast the king out of his kingdom. Solomon had to wander for many years before he could regain his throne. This story is a warning. No one can play with jealousy without getting hurt. Asmodeus, though chained, remains a dangerous force. He is a reminder that the darkest emotions in the human heart, if left unchecked, can lead to destruction. And so, Asmodeus continues to exist, not as a roaring monster in the shadows, but as a malicious whisper in the mind. He is the doubt in a lover's heart, the envy in a friend's eyes, the greed in a powerful person's soul. He is the demon that we all must face, not in the Egyptian desert, but within our own souls. The battle against Asmodeus is not a battle with swords, but a continuous struggle to keep the heart pure and the mind clear. Meanwhile, in a distant land, a young man named Tobiah, the son of Tobit, was preparing for a long journey. His father, Tobit, was blind, and their family was struggling. Tobit remembered an old debt in the city of Media and sent his son to retrieve it. Tobiah, a devout and dutiful young man, was ready to set off. As Tobiah was looking for a traveling companion, Raphael appeared in the form of a man named Azariah. He offered to guide Tobiah on his journey. Tobiah, unaware of his companion's angelic nature, happily agreed. They set off together, with Tobiah's dog running behind them. When they reached the bank of the Tigris River, Tobiah went down to wash his feet. Suddenly, a large fish leaped out of the water and tried to swallow his foot. Raphael shouted, "Catch it! Don't let it escape." Tobiah struggled and pulled the fish ashore. Raphael instructed him to gut the fish, remove its heart, liver, and gall, and said, "Keep them carefully. They are useful remedies." The heart and liver, when burned, could drive away all kinds of demons. The gall could cure blindness. When they approached Ecbatana, Raphael told Tobiah about Raguel and his beautiful daughter, Sarah. He said that Sarah was destined to be Tobiah's wife, as he was her closest relative. Tobiah, having heard the terrible stories of the 7 dead husbands, felt afraid. But Raphael reassured him, "Do not be afraid. The demon loves her, but he cannot harm those who belong to God. When you enter the bridal chamber, take the fish's heart and liver and place them on the burning coals. The smoke will spread, and when the demon smells it, he will flee and never return." Encouraged by Raphael's words, Tobiah agreed. They arrived at Raguel's house, who welcomed them warmly. When Raguel saw Tobiah, he noticed the resemblance between the young man and his father. Tobiah asked for Sarah's hand in marriage. Raguel, although happy to have found a good husband for his daughter, was also full of worry. He told Tobiah about the tragic fate of the 7 previous husbands. But Tobiah, with his faith in God and Raphael's guidance, did not waver. The wedding was held. That night, when Sarah and Tobiah entered the bridal chamber, Sarah wept, fearing that her new husband would suffer the same fate. But Tobiah did as Raphael had said. He took the fish's heart and liver and placed them on the burning coals. The smoke filled the room. Instantly, Asmodeus, who was hiding in the shadows, felt a power he could not resist. The sacred smoke burned his dark nature. With a painful and frustrated roar, he fled, banished from the room and from Sarah's life. Raphael pursued Asmodeus to the distant desert of Upper Egypt. There, he bound the demon, chaining him forever, preventing him from harming anyone else. Back in Ecbatana, Raguel, fearing the worst, secretly went out to dig another grave. But when he sent a servant girl into the room to check, she returned with good news. Both Tobiah and Sarah were sleeping peacefully. Joy filled the house. Raguel thanked God and filled in the grave. They held a wedding feast that lasted 14 days. Afterward, Tobiah and Sarah, along with Raphael, returned home. Tobiah used the fish's gall to cure his father's blindness. Their family was reunited in joy and gratitude. Tobiah, in his delight, composed a hymn praising God. Raphael then revealed his true identity before returning to heaven, leaving them with blessings and peace. Tobiah and Sarah lived a long and happy life, with many children and grandchildren. The story of Sarah's deliverance from the demon Asmodeus became a testament to the power of faith, obedience, and God's intervention in the most difficult times. Asmodeus, the demon of jealousy and possession, was defeated, not by force, but by faith and a pure heart. The fact that the Jews call Asmodeus a demon does not simply stem from the story in the Book of Tobit. It is the result of a theological and cultural development that has spanned centuries, in which the figure of Asmodeus has been layered with negative meanings and attributes reflecting the fears and moral values of the Jewish community. From the destroyer of marriage to the symbol of sinful desire, the original story in the Book of Tobit portrayed Asmodeus as an enemy of marriage and procreation, which are core values in Jewish society. Marriage is not just a union between two individuals, but also the foundation for maintaining a lineage and fulfilling the covenant with God. By killing Sarah's 7 husbands, Asmodeus directly attacked this sacredness. He was not just a simple jealous spirit, but became the embodiment of destruction, opposing God's command to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. In later Talmudic and Midrashic texts, the figure of Asmodeus was further developed. The Jewish rabbis delved deeper into his nature, not only viewing him as a destroyer of marriage, but also as the embodiment of uncontrolled lust and sinful desires. He was described as a tempter who led men down the path of adultery, incest, and forbidden sexual acts. He became a symbol of the animal part of man, the dark instinct that opposes the moral rules and laws of the Torah. Calling him a demon shed in this context was a way to emphasize the danger of those desires and to warn the community to be vigilant. Asmodeus and King Solomon. One of the most important stories that shaped the demonic image of Asmodeus in Jewish tradition is the confrontation between him and King Solomon. In texts like the Testament of Solomon, Asmodeus is not just a demon of lust, but also a powerful entity, a king of demons, possessing cunning wisdom and supernatural power. The story of Solomon using a ring engraved with God's name to capture and control Asmodeus to build the Temple of Jerusalem is full of meaning. It shows that even the wisest king must face the temptation and power of evil. The fact that Asmodeus eventually tricked Solomon, stole the ring, and took his throne for a short time is a profound warning. It shows that the power of the demon cannot be underestimated, and that human wisdom, if not based on the solid foundation of faith, can be easily shaken. In this story, Asmodeus is not just a demon, he is a worthy opponent of Solomon, an anti-Solomon. If Solomon represents the wisdom granted by God, righteous rule, and the building of a sacred place of worship, then Asmodeus represents cunning rule by deception and the destruction of the divine order. This confrontation solidified Asmodeus' position as one of the top demons, an archenemy of God and his people. Assimilation with foreign deities and cultural influence. The development of the figure of Asmodeus was also influenced by cultural exchange with surrounding peoples, especially the Persians. The name Asmodeus is said to have originated from Ashmadeva, a demon in the Zoroastrian religion of Persia, the embodiment of anger, wrath, and lust. When the Jews came into contact with Persian culture during the exile, they assimilated some of the opponent's mythological elements into their belief system, assigning Asmodeus an origin from a diva demon of a foreign religion was a way to affirm the monotheism of Yahweh and to clearly distinguish their belief from other religions. By turning a god or a powerful spirit of another nation into a demon in their system, the Jews demoted religious rivals and strengthened their own identity. Asmodeus, therefore, is not only an internal demon of Judaism, but also a symbol of the danger of foreign beliefs and the need to preserve the purity of faith. In summary, the fact that the Jews call Asmodeus a demon is a culmination of many factors, from his initial role as an enemy of marriage, the development of his figure into a symbol of sinful desire, the symbolic confrontation with King Solomon, to the assimilation with supernatural forces of foreign religions. He is not just a demon, but a mirror reflecting what Jewish society considered dangerous, wrong, and contrary to God's will. And so, the power of Asmodeus evolved. He was no longer a single jealous ghost, but a king in the kingdom of fallen souls, a force with deep influence on the mortal realm. The power and influence of Asmodeus. Asmodeus's power does not lie in brute force or large-scale physical destruction, but in subtle manipulation and internal erosion. Master of lust and jealousy. This is his core domain. Asmodeus has the ability to amplify the most hidden desires in the human heart. He can turn a pure love into a blind obsession, and admiration into drawing envy. He whispers into the ears of lovers, sowing seeds of doubt, making them see betrayal where there is none. Under his influence, happy marriages become battlefields of jealousy, and intimate relationships fall apart from suspicion. Manipulator of the mind and deception. The confrontation with King Solomon proved that Asmodeus is not a demon of mere instinct. He possesses a sharp and cunning intellect. He is a master of demonic contracts, of promises full of pitfalls. He can grant people knowledge, power, or wealth, but there is always a hidden price that will slowly destroy them. He enjoys riddles, intellectual games, and debates, where he can use logic and sophistry to distort the truth and lead people to their downfall. King of luxury and gambling. Asmodeus understands that lust is not limited to the physical. He also reigns over material desires. He is the patron of casinos where the hope of getting rich quick blinds reason, leading to financial ruin and despair. He encourages a life of luxury and extravagance, making people forever dissatisfied with what they have and always craving more. In this way, he sows dissatisfaction and envy, fertile ground for his influence to grow. Giver of forbidden knowledge. As a king of demons, Asmodeus holds many secrets of heaven and earth. He can reveal the location of hidden treasures, teach people the art of astrology to predict the future, or impart dark magical formulas. However, this knowledge is always poisoned. It makes its owner arrogant, delusional, and estranged from God. Comparison with the demon Lilith. A confrontation of two natures. To better understand Asmodeus' position, we need to place him next to another equally famous dark force in Jewish mythology, Lilith. Although both are powerful demons, their nature, origin, and methods of operation are completely different, like two sides of the same coin of sign. Lilith, according to Kabbalah and the Zohar, is not a spirit born from emotion like Asmodeus. She is said to be Adam's first wife, created from the earth on an equal footing. When Adam wanted her to submit, Lilith refused, uttered God's true name, and flew from the Garden of Eden. She became a demon of the night, the mother of countless demonic creatures, and an eternal threat to infants. Asmodeus and Lilith represent two different types of evil. Asmodeus is a demon of a corrupted civilization. He operates in palaces, bedrooms, and casinos, exploiting the very rules and desires that society creates to destroy it. He is the rot from within. In contrast, Lilith is the demon of primordial wildness. She exists outside the walls of society, In the shadows, where human laws are meaningless, she is a threat from the outside, a reminder of a chaotic and uncontrollable world. Therefore, Asmodeus and Lilith are not just two individual demons. They are two great fears of humanity personified. The fear of self-destruction from one's own passions, and the fear of forces that one cannot understand and cannot subdue. Exactly. Beyond the mythological stories, the descriptions in grimoires, the deepest and most terrifying nature of Asmodeus lies not in his demonic form or supernatural power. He is the embodiment, the living symbol of the danger of uncontrolled desire. When we peel back the layers of a legendary demon, Asmodeus appears as a mirror reflecting the darkest part of the human psyche. He is not an external force that imposes evil upon the world, but the ultimate amplification of the impulses that already exist within each of us. Origin from primordial desire. Possession Asmodeus' nature was born from jealousy, one of the most powerful and primordial forms of desire. Jealousy is not love. It is the desire for absolute possession, the fear of loss that turns into anger and the wish to destroy. His original story is not about a demon who craves souls, but about an entity that cannot accept that the object of his desire belongs to someone else. He did not love Sarah. He wanted to possess her. And when that possessive desire was not satisfied, it turned into deadly violence. This is the first lesson. When desire crosses the line of respect and becomes control, it becomes a destructive force, a parable of corruption, from love to death. The story of Sarah and the 7 husbands is a classic parable about this danger. Marriage, which is a symbol of union, love, and life, was turned into a ritual of death by Asmodeus' desire. He took away its sacred meaning and left only the empty shell of possession. This shows that uncontrolled desire has the ability to corrupt the best things. It can turn love into obsession, care into control, and intimacy into imprisonment. Asmodeus did not need to use hellfire to destroy. He just needed to fan the flames of desire that were already in the human heart and let it burn everything down, expanding the domain from the physical to ambition. Asmodeus does not stop at physical desire. He is the king of all kinds of unchecked desires. Desire for wealth. He presides over gambling, where the craving to get rich quick blinds reason, leading to financial ruin and despair. Desire for power and knowledge. The confrontation with Solomon shows that he can tempt even the wisest with promises of power and forbidden knowledge. He knows that the desire to dominate others and to know things one shouldn't know is humanity's Achilles heel. Desire for pleasure, luxury, laziness, and the endless pursuit of material pleasures are also his domain. He encourages a life where want is always more important than need, creating an emptiness that can never be filled. The demon in the mirror, therefore, Asmodeus is not just a demon. He is a principle, a warning. He represents the slippery slope that begins with a legitimate desire but ends in destruction when there is a lack of control, wisdom, and limits. He shows that any virtue, when pushed to the extreme by desire, can become a sin. Love becomes possession, ambition becomes cruelty, the thirst for knowledge becomes arrogance. The battle against Asmodeus is not really fought with spells or rituals, but with self-control, wisdom, and virtue. He is the eternal reminder that humanity's greatest enemy often does not come from hell, but from the uncontrolled desires within its own heart. Asmodeus was bound and defeated in the story of Sarah and Tobiah, but can a demon born from primordial jealousy truly disappear? Or does he just change form, hiding in every doubt, every envious glance, every seemingly harmless bout of jealousy between people? Perhaps Asmodeus is no longer an entity with 3 heads and hellfire, but a whisper in the heart, urging us to doubt those we love, encouraging us to compare, envy, and possess. And if that is the case, then the most terrifying question is not whether Asmodeus exists, but where he exists, in the darkness out there, or right inside us.